let's just start with an overview of this season. It's been an unusual one, as you know, and started with that, or not started, but you had that long losing streak, and then the team pulled out from last in the AHL to a playoff spot. So maybe just your overall thoughts on how the season went for your club.
Well, we started off with a lot of young players, especially down the middle. I think we had 4 young centermen that we had to overcome some issues there with defensive zone coverage and things. It's always hard, like teaching new guys the systems and stuff. So I think that was hard, but we got through it, and we ran into a 11-game losing streak, which I think everyone grew from. Faced some adversity, anyways. I'm trying to bring the positives out of it. It's not good coming into a dressing room when you've lost 11 in a row, but when we came out of it, I thought we were stronger for it. I think we worked hard through that time, and it made us a better team. And after we got out of it, went on a strong run, to capture a playoff spot. And I think everyone learned from that situation. There was a lot of players had career years. Capobianco, AHL Defenseman of the Year, and Milic came in the net and played really well for us. And then, you could go down the list of players that had good years, as well as the first-year rookies.
You talk that idea of development and hardened by fire almost. Is there some benefit? I mean, again, especially as a coach, you never want to have that sort of experience for yourself or for your team. But did you think that those guys are going to learn lessons that they'll be able to apply for years to come because of what they were able to overcome?
Absolutely. There couldn't be anything more than the truth than that. Like, it's. They had to work really hard. They had to stay positive. They had to learn how to react to the situations that we went through. They got put on the ice in a lot of tight situations in that 11-game losing streak where we were trying to get out of it, and they got put on the ice, like let's say Brad Lambert got put on the ice in a D-zone faceoff with, 15 seconds left to go, trying to preserve a win. And, those situations, they're going to be able to grow from. And they all, as I said, they all grew and they all had great years.
One player you've already mentioned is Thomas Milic. I mean, he comes in goes down to the ECHL, which when we spoke to him yesterday, said it was really good for him to kind of get a start there and kind of remove a little bit of the pressure. He's still pressure because you're playing pro, but not as much as in the AHL. And then he comes back here and he's a big catalyst, big part of the reason why you guys were able to turn things around. So from your perspective, what were you able to see in terms of growth? And how impressed were you for a kid who's coming from junior last year to kind of backstop your team into getting into that playoff spot?
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it's overlooked, the ECHL, and I think that was a real smart move for him to start there, get his feet wet in the pro game. And then the situation when he came back into here, like, there wasn't, what we were losing hockey games. So the pressure wasn't really there for him so much when he first came in. It wasn't like we were a first-place hockey club and you had to keep us there. He came in, he could play his game, and I thought that it showed that the ECHL helped him. And the maturity of him as well, like just him managing the puck at the right times of the games and things like that, I thought he looked, very polished at. So he played well for us. It's a long way to go for him, but he certainly came in and backboned us.
Speaking of rookies, I mean, what was that moment like, being able to tell Brad Lambert, Nikita Chibrikov that they'd be making their NHL debut the next night back in Winnipeg?
Yeah, those are always special moments, and they were very excited, so it was great to be able to tell them. They earned it on their own. They both work real hard, have great attitudes, and they played well enough to, deservingly get the call. The important thing for me there was how the team reacted towards it, and they were all, they were all very excited for them, and that's what I'd like to see.
And what do you think those experiences do, not only for Lambert and Chibrikov, but also Milic getting this AHL experience? What do you think that does for them over the summer, just in terms of knowing what they need to do in the offseason to prepare themselves for another campaign next year?
Yeah, I think it's huge for them to understand what the American Hockey League is all about, and I think you could go back to Brad Lambert's time. He spent the year before here 15 or 20 games, and I think that helped him as well. Like, you know what to expect when you come back into the American League. It's a hard league to play in, and I think anytime you get a little taste of it, before you have to get a summer off and then come back, it's beneficial.
Just in terms of the play-in series, You guys had that really good weekend against Texas, and looks like you're cruising along. And then, first of all, how unusual was that to play the final two regular season games, which were not necessarily meaningless, but they didn't have any sort of standings ramifications, and then to have to play the two games. And now that you've had some time to digest it and reflect on it, what did you see from your team in those two games?
Well, the two games before the play-in, I thought we played well. We used a lot of different bodies, and I think the games were competitive. And I just think that, it was a strange situation that we were there for so long and just waiting to play a playoff game. But they amped up their playoff game after that two-game series that we played them in that first game, and we didn't. To me, they came with a little bit more energy than we did.
One of the lines, I think, Kyle Capobianco termed them the identity line of Parker Ford, Christian Reichel, and Jeffrey Viel. They seem to be a heartbeat of your club, and we've talked about them throughout the course of this year. But just from your perspective as a head coach, what was it like to have that group being able to be so reliable and so impactful for you night in, night out?
Yeah, I mean, you could go as far as saying they were one of the top lines in the American Hockey League. They when they got put together, it didn't take long at all. They forecheck hard. They play a hard hockey game, and they really changed our identity. So I can't say enough about them. They really changed the way we played as a group.
And Parker Ford was, a lot of people are talking about as a 13th forward option for the Jets. Out of training camp, it comes down to you guys. What do you think that does for his development in terms of again, he takes some time to adjust to the pro game, but eventually playing with those two guys, how much benefit do you think he received in terms of trying to make an impact next year?
Well, I early on in the season, I think you could see the change in Parker when he came about that line. All of a sudden, the offensive side came out on him. I think he ended with 17 or 18 goals, but the first 20 games, I don't think he was above 5. So the offense came, and also just him learning how to play the right way with Christian Reichel and Jeffrey Viel, I think was very beneficial towards him. And I think if you asked Parker that, he'd be the first one to say it.
Speaking of Christian Reichel, here's a guy that was one of the top players in the American Hockey League the second half. We can talk a lot about that line and how they've come together, but it seemed like he was kind of a driving force, even when the pucks weren't going in for him at the beginning of the season. So what did you see from him this season as he developed throughout the year, and then what maybe did he mean to your team by the end?
Yeah, that's it's a good question because everyone says, oh, Christian Reichel had a great last half and this, but Christian Reichel had a great year for me right from the very beginning. Did a lot of things right, and just because the puck wasn't going in the net for him, he still was creating chances. And if you looked at the analytics, he was always at the top of it as far as the game analytics would go. So things just worked out for him again when the line got put together and then pucks started going in. But Christian Reichel was, he was our hero for me. He's kind of hidden in the background as being a hero, but he drove our team on the ice. And again, there's not enough good things to say about him. He plays a 200-foot game and plays it fast and put the puck in the net and made plays, played hard. And, that whole line played the same way, and that's what gave them the success.
You're a young team this year, a lot of important young players. So now that they have this foundation, what are you expecting going forward for guys like Parker Ford and Brad Lambert, Nikita Chibrikov, just to name off a few? What's their summer got to look like to have success next year?
Well, their summer's got to be work hard, off-ice training, and get stronger and get more explosive. And they all leave here with programs to get better off-ice. But really, what happens now is they reflect on the year, and then you got a new group of young players coming in next year, and now they become part of that mentorship group that has to look after them. So it's just a rolling group of people that come in. They get taught. Now they're veterans. The next group comes in. So Parker Ford, all those guys that came in, Brad Lambert, Chaz Luchas, now it's their job to bring in the next group, and they learned a lot, and they'll be good.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to ask what your summer looks like going forward here.
Yeah, my summer looks like, I don't know. We do exit interviews now for 3 days, and then we'll sit down. I'll sit down with Craig Heisinger, and we'll go over, I'm sure he'll have some words for me. And we'll go over, how the season went. But after that, I want to get on the boat and go fishing.
Just a question about how you decided to move Reichel to the middle, because maybe it was necessity with Danny Gilden going down, Chaz Lucius going down, but was there any sort of, because he's been playing wing for the most part as far as I can recall here in the AHL, so what was the impetus to move him to the center, and are you, I mean, again, obviously with the results you're pleased with how it went, but just what was the thought process behind moving him to the middle?
Yeah, my thought process was, since I've been here, I did not know he had played center previously. I just thought he was always a winger, but we needed help in the D zone, and that low forward center spot comes down is very important. And he's a very responsible player defensively, so I thought that it would help us. I mean, it was a time that we needed to shore up our D zone coverage, and that was the thought process that he would help that, and it just went from there.
And just touching on, Chaz Lucius, Danny Gilden, the guys who are dealt with injuries, it seems like they're either ahead of schedule or on schedule. Are you pleased with the way they've kind of progressed? And again, even though it's tough with the way, being injured and having surgery and losing the season, them being able to be part of the team, how important was that for them in terms of their development?
Well, it's important. They're around and they're seeing how things are going. I mean, Danny got a lot of hockey games in, so he knows how hard the league is. Chaz not as many, but they know what to prepare for now. They know that the league is hard and they're going to have to come in at top shape. So, I mean they're going to be big parts of the hockey team, and hopefully they come in great shape.
Okay, just got a couple more, but just in terms of your defense and some of the guys who may be graduating next year, what did you see from Ville Heinola? Obviously, he had that ankle injury and needing to be recovering for I think until January. So you had him for not as long as everybody else, but just in terms of his development this year and his desire to be an everyday NHLer, and also Simon Lundmark. We're just curious what you saw from him in terms of his development, because prospect not a lot of Jets fans necessarily talk about, because that's probably part of his game, is that he just doesn't do things that are flashy, but he's more about consistency. So what did you see from those two?
Well, first of all, I'll go Simon. Simon Lundmark had for me a real good year. If you look at his growth from last year to this year. It was huge. So he took a big step. I thought he has an identity now of who he is, kind of a shutdown defenseman, makes a good first pass and very reliable. And that's what we're looking for him to take another step and continue to be on that path. But he had a really good, strong year for us. And the big thing that I'm happy about, and I think the whole organization is just the step that he took from last year to this year. So that shows growth and shows that he wants to get better. So Ville Heinola, tough year for him early on, of course, with the injury. But I think Ville Heinola, I shouldn't say that. Ville Heinola got back to where he was at training camp here near the end of the year, played some great hockey games for us. I thought his mobility and his skating came back to where it was before. So I think he'll have a strong summer, and I think he'll push for an NHL spot.
Okay, maybe the last one from me is just the idea of the league awards. I mean, your team did take Brad Lambert is named to the All-Star team, the All-Rookie team. Sorry, you got Cal Capobianco being named the Defenseman of the Year. Only the second time in this organization that you've had a guy named Defenseman of the Year. So, what does that mean for you as a coaching staff? Just being able to see these guys achieve these goals, and maybe a word or two about those two specifically.
Well, yeah, I mean, Capobianco's a special talent. He does. He's a good player, has a lot of skill, and has a great attitude. And that's what I was impressed by. Every day he came to work a professional way, and he taught the young guys, how they should act inside the arena here and out. And I got a lot of time for Capo. He's a good hockey player, and we were fortunate to have him. Who was the other player?
Brad Lambert.
Brad came in, and I think, as I said earlier, he got some games the season before, so he came in very serious about it and had a great attitude, and he worked very hard for everything that he got, and he learned, and he's a listener. For me, it's his attitude, and that's what you need to move forward, and he has that.
And up the middle, I mean, again, we talked about it early in the season. I mean, he was, a winger here last year. Then he goes to Seattle, plays up the middle. You guys keep him there. So in terms of his growth as a center, what did you see?
Well, I saw his growth as a center in the D zone mostly, like just being in the right position at the right time, having some timing to his game to get the puck out of the D zone. His battle level, of course, is good. Got better as the year went on in the D zone. So I think the big thing with him is, you circle down low there as a centerman, and he can keep his feet moving. Once he gets the puck, he's got enough speed to pull away from people through the neutral zone. So I think we used the center spot with Brad well because of his speed. He can carry the puck through the neutral zone.